The wedding invitation arrived in a cream envelope with rose gold calligraphy. Madison Foster and James Sullivan request your presence. My sister's dream wedding. October 14th. The Ashford Estate. Black tie. The same week as my third chemotherapy cycle for breast cancer. You'll skip that one, right? Madison's voice through the phone was casual, like she was asking me to reschedule a haircut. I mean, it's just one session. The wedding's been planned for a year. I was 33, the director of oncology services at Memorial Hospital, and I had stage 2 triple-negative breast cancer. But Madison needed me to be her maid of honor. Madison, I can't skip chemo. The protocol is time-sensitive. Come on, Harper. You're the one who's always saying how flexible medicine is. She laughed. Just push it back a few weeks. Or do it early. Whatever. The venue deposit was $15,000. Non-refundable. $15,000 versus my survival rate. Apparently one mattered more than the other. My oncologist scheduled these cycles very specifically. Missing even one. Your oncologist works for you, doesn't he? At your hospital. Her tone shifted, confident now. So tell him to adjust. You're basically his boss. He'll do what you say. My oncologist didn't work for me. Dr. Alan Brenner was an independent physician with privileges at Memorial. But technically, as director of oncology services, I did oversee the department where he practiced. I reviewed physician performance, managed clinical protocols, and sat on the credentials committee that approved medical staff privileges. I'd been careful to recuse myself from anything involving my own care. But Madison didn't understand those boundaries. To her, my position meant I could control everything. It doesn't work like that. Harper, please. This is my wedding. My one day. You've always been the successful one. The big hospital director, the important career. Can't I have this one thing without you making it complicated? I have cancer. That's what's making it complicated. You'll be fine. You're young, you're strong, you caught it early. Missing one treatment won't kill you. She paused. But missing my wedding might kill our relationship. Think about that. She hung up. I sat in my office at Memorial Hospital, surrounded by the administrative work of running an oncology department, and touched the port beneath my collarbone. The permanent reminder that I was both director and patient. Both authority figure and vulnerable. The pressure started immediately. Mom called saying I was prioritizing work over family. Dad sent an email about how Madison had dreamed of this wedding her whole life. Madison's daily texts escalated from pleading to angry to accusatory. You're doing this on purpose, one text read. You can't stand that I'm getting attention for once. My younger brother Chris was the only voice of reason. This is insane. You have cancer. The wedding can work around you, not the other way around. She's already paid deposits. Locked in the date. So she moves the bridal party schedule. You skipped the rehearsal dinner. Something. He shook his head. You're not skipping chemo for a party, Harper. I didn't plan to. But I also didn't anticipate what happened next. Dr. Brenner called me into his office for what I thought was a routine follow-up appointment. Instead, I found him looking uncomfortable, his usually confident demeanor strained. Harper, I had an unusual conversation this morning. Your sister called the office. My stomach dropped. Madison called you? She wanted to discuss your treatment schedule. She asked, actually she demanded, that I reschedule your October cycle. He pulled off his glasses, rubbing his eyes. She said you were too busy with work to speak up yourself, but that you wanted the treatment delayed by 3 weeks. That's not true. I never said that. I know. But she was persistent. She mentioned that you're the director of oncology services. That you oversee my department. He met my eyes. She implied that accommodating this request would be, quote, good for my relationship with hospital administration. The words hung in the air like poison. My sister had just attempted to use my administrative position to pressure my oncologist into compromising my cancer treatment. Dr. Brenner, I am so sorry. You have nothing to apologize for. His voice was firm. But we need to discuss this. What your sister did, attempting to leverage your position to influence medical care, that's deeply problematic. I had no idea she would do that. I believe you. But Harper, this puts us both in a difficult position. He pulled up my chart. Your treatment protocol is aggressive for a reason. Triple-negative breast cancer doesn't respond to hormone therapy. Chemotherapy timing is critical. Delaying by 3 weeks significantly reduces efficacy and increases recurrence risk. I know. I'm not delaying. Good. But your sister called my office 3 times today. The last time she threatened to speak to someone higher up about my inflexibility. He looked at me directly. You are higher up. You're my department director. She's trying to create a situation where I either compromise your care or face administrative consequences. The full weight of what Madison had done crashed over me. She hadn't just asked me to skip treatment. She'd attempted to manipulate the hospital's administrative structure to force my doctor's hand. I'll handle this, I said quietly. There's more. Dr. Brenner pulled out a printed email. She sent this to 3 other oncologists in the department, asking if they'd be willing to work with Harper's schedule, since I was being unreasonable. She copied the hospital's patient relations department. I read the email, each word worse than the last. Madison had painted me as a demanding administrator who wanted special treatment, and Dr. Brenner as an inflexible physician refusing to accommodate a colleague. She'd weaponized my position and his professionalism for her wedding timeline. This is a nightmare, I whispered. It's also a potential ethics violation, Dr. Brenner said gently. Not by you, by her. She's attempting to interfere with medical care using false pretenses and administrative pressure. 2 days later, I received a call from Dr. Patricia Marks, Memorial Hospital's chief medical officer. Harper, we need to talk about a situation involving your sister and Dr. Brenner. I'd known Patricia for 8 years. We'd worked together on quality improvement initiatives, physician recruitment and clinical protocols. Now she was calling about my family's attempt to manipulate my cancer treatment. I'm aware of what happened, I said. Good. Because we need to address it formally. Her voice was compassionate but firm. Your sister contacted multiple physicians attempting to pressure them into altering your treatment protocol. She misrepresented your wishes and implied administrative consequences for non-compliance. That's not just inappropriate, it's potentially illegal. I never asked her to do any of that. I know. Dr. Brenner was clear about that. But Harper, she's created a situation that affects physician autonomy, patient care integrity and hospital ethics. Patricia paused. The Credentials Committee needs to review this. Not because you did anything wrong, but because we need to document that administrative positions cannot be leveraged to influence clinical decisions. What does that mean? It means Friday's committee meeting will include discussion of this incident. Dr. Brenner's clinical judgment and professional conduct will be reviewed, standard procedure when there's been outside pressure on treatment decisions. We'll document that he acted appropriately despite attempted interference. My sister's wedding demands had triggered a formal hospital review. The next family dinner was a disaster. Madison arrived furious, having been contacted by Memorial's patient relations department about her inappropriate communications with medical staff. They said I was trying to manipulate your treatment, that I was threatening doctors. She slammed her wine glass down. I was just trying to help you find a solution. By calling my oncologist and telling him it would be good for his career to delay my chemo? My voice was quiet but hard. By emailing other doctors saying I wanted special treatment? You do want special treatment. You want everything to revolve around your cancer. Her face was flushed. I have one wedding, Harper. One day that's supposed to be about me. But no, you have to make it about your medical drama. I have cancer, Madison. Stage 2 triple-negative breast cancer. This isn't drama. It's survival. And you're going to survive. Everyone says so. So what's one treatment? She looked at our parents. Tell her. Tell her she's being selfish. Mom looked uncomfortable. Dad cleared his throat. Harper, honey, is there really no way to adjust the schedule? Madison's put so much money into this wedding. Dad, I'm your daughter too. With cancer. And you're asking me to compromise my treatment for venue deposits. We're asking you to compromise for family, he said. Sometimes that's what family does. Chris stood up abruptly. This is insane. Harper has cancer. Madison has a party. One of these things is life or death. Figure out which one matters. He left. I followed. Madison's screaming about ruined relationships and ungrateful sisters echoed behind us. Friday morning I received the committee meeting agenda. Under Physician Performance Review was listed Dr. Alan Brenner, External Pressure on Clinical Decision-Making Patient Relations Incident. I attended the meeting as Director of Oncology Services, recusing myself from any discussion involving my own care. The committee, composed of department chiefs, the CMO and physician representatives, reviewed the documentation carefully. Dr. Patricia Marks presented the facts. Dr. Brenner was contacted multiple times by the patient's family member requesting treatment delay for non-medical reasons. The family member attempted to leverage the patient's administrative position to pressure compliance. Dr. Brenner appropriately declined, maintained clinical judgment, and reported the incident through proper channels. The committee members reviewed emails, call logs, and Dr. Brenner's detailed notes about each interaction with Madison. "This is textbook inappropriate interference," said Dr. Robert Chin, Chief of Surgery. The family member tried to manipulate hospital hierarchy to override medical judgment. The patient, Director Foster, had no knowledge of or involvement in these attempts, Patricia added, looking at me. She's been completely professional throughout her own treatment and this situation. Dr. Brenner spoke. "I want to be clear that Harper has been an exemplary patient. She's never used her position to influence her care. This was entirely her sister's doing." The committee deliberated. Their decision was unanimous. Dr. Brenner's conduct was beyond reproach. He would receive a formal commendation for maintaining clinical integrity under pressure. The hospital would issue a cease and desist letter to Madison prohibiting further contact with Memorial medical staff regarding my treatment. More significantly, they added new protocols: formal separation between administrative roles and personal patient care, additional safeguards against family members leveraging patient positions, and mandatory reporting of external pressure on clinical decisions. My sister's wedding demands had changed hospital policy. Madison received the cease and desist letter that afternoon. He called me screaming. "You got a lawyer involved? Over a wedding?" "The hospital got lawyers involved because you tried to manipulate my cancer treatment." "I was trying to help. You were trying to force my doctor to compromise my care so you wouldn't lose venue deposits." My voice was steady. "You chose your wedding over my life, Madison. Then you tried to use my job to make it happen. I hate you. I hope you know that. You've ruined everything." She hung up. The wedding happened on October 14th. Without me. I was in the infusion center receiving my third chemotherapy cycle as scheduled. Chris sent photos. Madison looked beautiful, the venue was elegant, everything was perfect. Except her maid of honor wasn't there because she'd chosen life over photographs. I completed all 6 chemotherapy cycles on schedule. My scans showed complete response. No evidence of disease. The cancer was gone. Dr. Brenner's commendation was placed in his personnel file. The new hospital policies were implemented department-wide. 3 other cases of family members attempting to pressure physicians were identified and addressed using the protocols established from my situation. Madison didn't speak to me for 8 months. When she finally called, she said she wanted to move past this and have a relationship again. She never apologized. Never acknowledged that she'd tried to manipulate my treatment. Never seemed to understand that venue deposits don't matter if your sister is dead. I declined her offer of reconciliation. My parents called me unforgiving and cold. They still don't understand why I won't get over it and let Madison have her happiness. But Chris understands. And Dr. Brenner understands. And Dr. Patricia Marks, who tells every new administrative hire about the importance of separating professional authority from personal care. I keep the committee meeting minutes in my office file. The formal documentation that my sister attempted to leverage my position to compromise my cancer treatment, and that the hospital responded by protecting physician autonomy and patient care. That documentation reminds me why I became Director of Oncology Services. Not to gain power or control outcomes, but to create systems that protect patients, even when those patients are administrators themselves. Even when families try to manipulate authority for convenience. Madison's wedding photos are beautiful. I've seen them on social media, carefully curated images of a perfect day. Missing from those photos, the sister who chose to live. The director of oncology who refused to let administrative hierarchy override medical necessity. The patient who understood that survival matters more than being in photographs. I frame my 1-year cancer-free scan instead. Hang it where I can see it every day. That scan represents the choice I made. Treatment over wedding. Life over family approval. Medical judgment over venue deposits. Dr. Brenner says that's the only choice that makes sense. The hospital committee agreed. And every oncology patient at Memorial Hospital benefits from the policies created because my sister tried to schedule her wedding during my chemotherapy. She gave me a cease and desist letter. I gave future patients protection. Fair trade.